How often do we look at what we are eating? They say watch what you eat, but they also say read what you eat. He's one person who's put knowing what you're eating right there on the spotlight, and it's great to be sitting and talking with Revant Himatsingka. If you're following him, you'll know him as the food farmer.
Thank you so much for having me.
Revant, good to speak with you, and I've been itching to have this chat for a while, so it's good to have you on the sidelines of the Rising Bharat Summit. Why do you call yourself food farmer, P-H-A-R-M-E-R? So let's start from there. ये नाम सूझा कैसे and क्यों?
पहले तो before context मैं ये शायद से कभी बोला नहीं हूँ. I was earlier going to name myself grocery guy. And my mom told me it sounds like a delivery guy who does grocery. And then I changed it to food farmer, and the thing was, my point is, if you eat food made by the farmers, you will reduce your dependency on pharma. So it was like a pun between farmer and pharma, and like that's what I believe in, that food is medicine if you do it correctly. So I thought it's a good way to connect medicine, food together. That's what I thought.
So what's a guy who studied out of Wharton doing back in Bharat and doing food farmer?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I've always been interested in social impact as well, and I'm also a data-driven person, which explains Wharton and McKinsey. And I thought, what is the fastest and cheapest way to get 140 crore Indians to become healthier? And there are many options, like, you can build a gym in every neighborhood, you can build a park in every neighborhood, you can subsidize medicines, but they are all very expensive options. I feel the cheapest and quickest option to get the entire country to get healthier is to just ask them to start reading labels before you buy anything. Because currently, about 50, 60, 70% of what we're eating is packaged food.
Yeah.
And if we just find out what we're eating, we'll just make healthier choices. So I thought it's a very fast, quick, and cost-effective way to get people to be healthier. And that's why I always say that a lot of Indians, we are educated, but we're not health literate.
Health literate.
You can even go to the top colleges in India, like, the most prestigious universities. They often don't know enough about how much protein you need in a day, how many calories you need in a day, and I want to do something in this space.
But then, भारत में जैसे कहते हैं कोस कोस और बदले पानी, चार कोस पर बाणी. That means in every course, every mile, for 4 miles, you will actually have the language change, and in every 4 miles of char course mein, the water, taste of the water changes.
Yeah.
That means the taste of the people, dietary habits, culinary preferences also change. So how are you going to, in a diverse market in our country, get all of Bharat to eat healthy?
I'm not asking you to eat the same thing. So if you have a particular dietary preference, you can eat healthy based on that particular dietary preference. So that is one thing, like, that is like the most clear thing, but there are still some guidelines which are universally acceptable. For example, you should approximately have 1 gram of protein per kg of body weight.
Yeah.
And things like that, like which people do not know, or like, how to read a label that, ingredient lists are listed in order of weight, or things like that, which people don't know of. So there are just basic things, what is a calorie and things like that, which people should just know of, which they don't know of. So regardless of how diverse you are, you can still adapt and learn these things.
Now, if you were to look into our own kitchens, nearly 50 to 60% is packaged or processed food.
Exactly.
So are you waging a war against packaged and processed food?
No, not at all. At this point, it is impossible to stop packaged food. I myself eat packaged food. It's impossible not to do it. I am waging a war against junk food marketing itself as healthy.
Healthy, okay.
Because according to me, it's even more dangerous than junk food. Because typically junk food, like, a soft drink, we would typically have it once or twice a week. But the junk food which claims to be healthy, we often have it once or twice a day. So in a week, we're having it 14 times, like if you have it twice a day. So the junk food which claims to be healthy is actually even more dangerous. And I say the same thing about chocolates and biscuits. Most parents, including my own, they would not let their children have chocolates every day. They would give it once a week, twice a week. But even in my school tiffin, they would give me chocolate. They would give me biscuits, sorry. So you're having 3-4 biscuits a day, which is around 4 into 7, 28 biscuits a week. And only 1 or 2 chocolates a week. But you think chocolates are the problem. Actually, it's the biscuits, because both of them have almost the same ingredients. So I have an issue against this junk food which claims to be healthy.
But who creates these perceptions? And is this only in Bharat? These biscuits are eaten, consumed all over the world. Most of the packaged food processed, or wherever the markets, if you were to see, other than some of the homegrown brands, largely these are subsidiaries of international behemoths or big brands. So when you decide to challenge them, you're taking on not so friendlies. You know?
Yeah, of course. No, it's not only a problem in Bharat, it's also a problem all across the world. There are certain countries which are better than others, but overall it's a universal problem, it's not just an Indian problem. In fact, I was in the US till a year ago, and it's really bad out there as well because people eat way more packaged food there.
Correct.
So the amount of sophistication of lying is even more advanced. Out here, you can, like companies openly say sugar, no one even reads it. Out there, they won't say sugar, they'll use a fancier term for it.
Sweetener.
So, yeah, some sweetener, high fructose corn syrup or something or the other. So the problem is universal, it's not just an Indian problem. And yes, the problem is with both international companies as well as Indian companies.
Okay.
So it's not that I am fighting only against Indian companies or I am only fighting against MNCs, I'm fighting against like basically both of them.
But why do you want to do this fight? Hasn't anybody told you, क्या रेवान काम करो, वॉटन से पढ़ के आओ, क्यों पंगे ले रहे हो?
नहीं, वो तो हर दिन सुनता हूँ और काफी पेरेंट्स स्ट्रेस्ड रहते हैं क्योंकि मैं अच्छा जॉब कर रहा था वहाँ पर, काफी अच्छा कमा रहा था और अब मैं सब छोड़ दिया और यहाँ पर मैं लिटरली लास्ट 1 साल हो गया ऑलमोस्ट. अब पहले तो मैं बोला अच्छा 2 महीना ही हुआ है, 3 महीने हुआ है, 1 साल हो गया. 1 साल से मैं pretty much कुछ नहीं कमाया हूँ. YouTube में मेरे को $150 per month approximately ad revenue मिल रहा है last 3-4 months से, but that's pretty much it. So obviously it is a challenge, but I do think hopefully, like I have an idealistic belief that if you add enough value, you will end up monetizing or figuring out a way to make money as well. It's not happened yet, but I'm quite sure it's going to happen.
No, I'm just asking you. You're into a career, you had a fantastic career, you've left that and you've come, like you said, you're getting about $150 per month. That's hardly anything. That's nothing. And then you got parents who are worried, अरे बच्चे की बुद्धि भ्रष्ट हो गई है, इतना पढ़ा के क्या फायदा? So didn't you ever think, why am I doing what I'm doing? Have you been encouraged to continue doing? Are there people who also are coming out and saying, Revant, go on, you're doing a good job?
So the entire, I mean, it sounds a bit boastful, but the entire country is asking me to continue. Like if you see, we're getting millions and millions of people. Like every month, I'm reaching not only millions, but more than crore people on just Instagram alone. Plus, that video often goes very, very viral on WhatsApp and other platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. And if you see the comments, if you see the emails which I get, like people are comparing me to, like I feel embarrassed to say this, but they compare me to often like, freedom fighters and things like that. So I have
because you're walking a path not many would want to walk, because a lot of corporates don't like people who take a dig at them.
Of course.
Or who call their bluff, quote unquote. And who claim that it's not, I'm not alleging, I know that you're wrong. You see, you're not even making an allegation. You say, this is the proof, this is what you have written, this is what you've done.
Exactly.
So there's a certain method to what you do. So a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah.
So yes, there are people supporting, but how long do you think you're going to be able to sustain this? I'm just trying to see the test of conviction here.
So I feel like support is very strong, parents are very concerned, and I think it's going to continue. I'm worried a bit that so far I've been mostly 99% correct. I'm worried that if I make some major error hypothetically, then will the support still be there? Will the legal things be more aggressive than like right now I've been managing it? That is something which I'm concerned about. But I think it's going to sustain. Like, I'm going to continue. I think it's a very, very important issue. And at this point, with so much public support, if I back out now, it's going to be a shame.
No, so I'm just asking you, I'm not going to name names and we're going to steer clear of that. But you did take on a big behemoth or a conglomerate, and you said that you're claiming that you're going to be good for kids and you're advertising or you're claiming this, but you're not. And then they took you to court. It was litigation. So when they took you to court, did you have to fight on your own, or did people come up and say, no, we'll fight your fight?
A lot of people told me that, they are willing to fight for me, but also you have to realize that, suddenly I get 1,000 emails that, oh, I'm a lawyer and I'm willing to fight for you for free and things like that. I have no idea who this person is, and they may be very good, but I don't know who they are. So it was very difficult in that sense. I also want to tell you that that particular company which you're speaking about, they sent me a legal notice. It did not go very deep, like, it was not a full court thing. I have received 5 legal notices totally from other different companies, one of which went to the court, and that was a whole like full litigation. But the others were mostly just like a legal notice which they asked me to remove the video. So in that one particular case, yes, I had to get a lawyer on board and things like that, and they fought all of that.
So let me ask you your method. How do you go about? Do you just walk into a store and look at what is everybody picking up the most. So let me just pick up this and then turn it around and look at what they've written, now test it. Is that how
it's
the
pretty
whole
much
thing
like
works?
that. It's like, my point is, I only focus on things which we eat a lot of.
Okay.
Like, I will not do a very niche product which is very, small. So it's like anything which a large percentage of us consume, and we consume daily. So I'm more concerned with, again, the daily sort of consumption. The
So
biscuits,
then how
the
do you
oils.
test it? How do you test it? What do you do? I'm just explain
It's
to me a
honestly
method.
very, very, very simple.
Okay.
I know that, like as you said, I don't want to allege. I want to make it like this is it. What I'm saying is true. So I always use what they have themselves claimed, so they can never go back on it. So on the back of the package, they are forced by the government to, say the truth essentially. So I just read out the truth. All I'm doing is turning around the pack and reading out what they themselves have already written. So in the front, they may say high protein. In the back, it may be only 2 grams of protein. And then I just inform the users. I have done lab tests sometimes, but lab tests is a very tricky path. Because there are hundreds of labs and the companies can claim that, the lab report
There
was
are too
wrong.
many variables, yeah.
Exactly. So I stay slightly clear from that. Although I've received some crazy lab reports and I'm mind boggled by it, but I've still not made it public yet. But I mostly rely on just what is in the package because that is impossible for the company to refute.
Okay. Let me ask you, what is it that you want to do going forward? Why are you doing it in Bharat? One, what drives you? And second, what is it that you'd like to do going forward? I'm sure you don't want to be at $150 a month and 1 crore views. There's something more that you want to do. So let me ask you.
So Bharat, obviously, I am an Indian. I am from here, and I just naturally I understand the cultural aspects of here. Even when you're making a video, you often try to make it appealing, catchy. My video is one of the best parts about it that even kids are watching it. Usually, no nutritionist is followed by a kid. So you're making certain jokes, to make it catchy. So I understand it out here. I don't understand it as much in other countries. That's why it's India. In order to the future part, you said you don't want to make $150 a month. There are a few ideas that I have. Can I start doing brand deals for non-food products? For example, a particular mental health app or a gym or things like that. So can I start monetizing in that aspect? And there are some other things can I maybe start my own nutritionist company where I am consulting and get top 20 nutritionists in India and there are
because you studied nutrition.
Yeah, I've studied nutrition as well, and I can easily hire people, and through my whatever brand and reach I have, distribution I have, I can get clients also relatively easily on board. So there are quite a few ideas like this which are there. There's also a lot of work which I'm doing outside of social media. Most people just know me on social media. For example, I'm also trying to work with certain people. This is not very monetary in nature, but to try to see if we can get nutrition as a part of the school curriculum.
Okay.
We study history, geography, why can't we study nutrition? It's very basic, it's not that complicated, and it's going to be probably one of the most important courses if we actually taught about it. So there are activists and policy makers who I'm sort of assisting. There are also other ideas. For example, you take out a product and you scan the barcode and it will tell you how healthy it is. So there are those kind of ideas which I'm working on as well, and that kind of an idea has some monetary scope as well. So yeah, I'm working in different areas.
Interesting. Has anybody ever come to you and said, I'm making this food, test me?
Yes, but only smaller brands. Big brands stay clear because most of them, unfortunately, are not that clean, because it's not also their fault that they're not clean. They're trying to appeal to 140 crore people with a very price sensitive, so they have to make it super cheap. So the big brands, they never reach out for that. They reach out for other things. Even the big brands who've sent me legal stuff have also reached out for promotions as well. I've not done any. But that's a separate all. But smaller brands have reached out because they also want help with marketing.
Correct. So they believe that an endorsement from you
Exactly.
will give them it's like a testimonial that works.
I have also many times in the comment section or in the video itself, in the last 3-4 seconds, I'll be okay, these 3 brands are better. So it's always been non-sponsored, at least so far. I don't know whether in the future if I should continue doing it non-sponsored or should I charge it. But I'm also worried that if I start charging, then will it be a conflict of interest?
Yeah, the integrity aspect of it comes out.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned about that, so I'm not sure about that yet.
Okay, so let me ask you, 2 packaged processed foods or packaged foods that you said don't eat. I'm not saying name brands. I'm just saying you can keep it out of your kitchen.
I think the most one is biscuits, ketchup.
So you're saying biscuits and ketchup should not have.
Yeah,
What's
like,
the alternative?
Not have as in like there's nothing in the world you should not have, but like reduce. For biscuits, there is no very easy alternative for chai, especially like if you want to dip it in chai. But there are many like roasted chana makhana, and like there are many like alternatives like which are like snacks like bhel and moody and things like that, which are close enough, which are tasty.
Yeah.
Not close enough, but you can make it a chaat, and like it's also pretty tasty.
Right.
Ketchup is like basically sugar, but like green chutney if you like it, mustard if you like it. Yeah, the ketchup sweetness itself, if you want, is very difficult if you want that same, because ketchup is essentially sugar.
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult.
All right. And let me ask you, chocolates or biscuits, what should kids have? You just said both have the same ingredients.
I mean, if you're having the same amount of chocolates and biscuits, then you probably have the biscuit because they'll be marginally lesser. But overall, I would say chocolates, because you would probably feel slightly guilty when you have the chocolate, so you'll automatically have lesser.
Okay.
And the second aspect is that yeah, you'll have it slightly less frequently, and at least that अगर मन कर ही रहा है कुछ खाने का टेस्टी, तो चॉकलेट ही खा लो ना. आप कंट्रोल करके खा रहे हो बिस्किट, और उसमें almost वही उतना रिजल्ट है, तो क्या फायदा?
Okay, let me ask you, as a youngster, as an influencer, as a student who's studied at Wharton, left a cushy job, coming here to try and educate masses, if you had one request of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, what would it be?
One request is, can we try to enforce, one is a sugar board, which I have. You don't need to name any brands. I have an alternative which there is no brand names, where all the soft drinks are listed, but you don't make out which brand it is, and it'll have how much sugar there is under it, like 8 teaspoons, 10 teaspoons. Already 200 plus schools have already done this themselves. I made a video and 200 plus schools have already done it. Now what if this was in every single school in India? And it's not that difficult. I'm already in touch with the child rights body of the government as well, and they are also thinking about it. But that would be a game changing. Every single child would be able to do it. Can I make a second request?
Yes, please.
So currently, every single nutrition label is in English, and there's a very small percentage of India which knows how to read English. Like I think it's 10-15%, 20% max. So what if there was a QR code in every single food product, that if you scan the barcode, it will translate, and it'll give you 10 languages or 15 languages, and it'll translate. If you click Hindi, Marathi, Tamil, click Tamil, and then nutrition label will then be in
that language.
That language. So you can enforce every single company कि अपने पैकेज में QR कोड डाल दो, फ्रंट में काफी प्रोमिनेंट, हर एक जन के लिए सॉर्ट हो गया. सो देन हाई इन प्रोटीन, एंड फिर वो इतना टाइनी 6 वाला फॉन्ट में कोई लिखा है कि इसमें 1 ग्राम है, वो उतना समझेंगे नहीं ना, दे डोंट नो इंग्लिश.
Correct.
So that will be very easy for the entire mass.
True. So make nutrition part of the curriculum, to have a sugar board or a nutrition board in all schools. And 3, you're saying turn it into a QR code which is accessible, and information is accessible in the local language.
Exactly.
So multiple language options. So these are 3 things that you would like to do.
Exactly.
Well, this is a short chat, Revant. We're going to catch up again very, very soon. But fantastic speaking with you.
Thank
Continue
you so much
on the
for
path that you are on. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.